As they come, taking the nation together.
I say come, I say come, I say come. Let we build a nation together. I say come, my brothers, come, my sisters. Let us build, let us develop, let us transform this place we call home. I want to welcome you to this segment in the program, and those who are viewing me on Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to start off this morning by saying, lest we forget what was the environment for workers during the NNP time, we will make that huge mistake and fall for what the NNP is saying to workers now, because the NNP, they want to get back in power. But remember, they were in power for 23 years and a half, and workers catch hell. Do not forget what you experienced under the NNP administration. During Keith Mitchell and Emlyn Pierre's time, they were in power before. Now they're talking nice. Now they're trying to trick you because they want to get back into power. But I want to take you down memory lane, because you see, visual aid is very powerful. Visual aid can help you to remember what was the situation during the NNP time for workers in this country.
No upgrades. No upgrades. No dark salary. No pension. No pension. No regularization. No regularization. No regularization. No upgrades.
No pension, no vote. That was the chant of President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Jude Bartholomew, and his members. Police officers locked the gates at the entrance of the ministerial complex on Tuesday as teachers made their way outside the ministerial complex, demanding salary increases ordered.
A few Saturdays ago, the leader of the Grenada Union of Teachers found himself at the St. David's police station, where he was asked to report so that the lawmen could ask him some questions. The line of questioning focused on protest marches orchestrated by teachers who are in the heat of a battle with government over pay increase. Union leaders saw this as an act of intimidation and wrote the Minister for National Security, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, to register their concern. On Tuesday, they met with him and Police Chief Edwin Martin. The TUC delegation was led by President Andre Lewis.
The TUC met with the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, together with the Commissioner of Police, where we raised our deep concern about the calling in and questioning of Comrade Jude Bartholomew, the President General of the Grenada Union of Teachers. We expressed our concern and views that this matter was engineered by the fact of the ongoing protests of the teachers, and we felt that it was designed to send a message to the public sector workers in particular that are fighting the government on the 4%.
Teachers are not letting up. Even after the union's president was called in for questioning, they are saying they are not daunted. They will continue to fight for what is rightfully theirs. Parents and retired teachers stood in solidarity with the teachers at the St. Martin de Porres RC School on Monday. Teachers took their lunch hour to show team spirit with the union's president Jude Bartholomew over what transpired on Saturday. Shop steward Cheyenne Date says they will not be intimidated.
Well, we deem the questioning, the retaining of him as a form of victimization, because there were other marches, there were other events around the island that would have broken the protocols. And to our knowledge, we didn't hear of any questioning or any arrest or so. So why is it that why was it so necessary for our leader to be called in for questioning in regards to the breaking of protocols? So we're sending a message today that we're standing up against victimization and we're standing to it our colleague. We're sending the message that we're not being daunted. We'll continue to struggle and we'll fight for whatever is ours. We're the pension, the 4%, we're fighting.
Teachers were not the only ones on the streets of Crowshoe St. Andrew on Monday. Other individuals say it's only fair the teachers be given what they deserve, the 4% salary increase that should be paid since January. Both parties appeared not to be moved by each other's stance regarding the 4% salary increase. Government remains adamant that they cannot afford to pay at this time, while the GUT is saying they remain resolute until the 4% is paid. Both the GUT and the government's negotiating team met last Friday to discuss the 4% salary increase due to public servants since January. President General of the GUT, Jude Bartholomew, spoke to our news desk earlier today.
The government will say, well, come up with a date. Let us know. All right. All of the government goes on TV and tell the nation, you know, we are willing to pay. When things are right, we are willing to pay.
Yeah, to be honest with you, right now, how I feel, them teachers deserve the 4% because they work hard enough teaching children throughout the years, you know, understand? So big up to the teachers still all the way, yeah. Teachers, yeah.
According to President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Jude Bartholomew, the 4% matter has been going on for far too long, and it's time the government resolves the matter. Bartholomew says the teachers do not want bonds. What they want is their hard-earned money, which government has been denying them since the beginning of 2021.
No upgrades. No upgrades. No dark salary. No pension. No pension. Gas must go low or keep must go.
The revelers have chanted "No jab, no vote." Now the bus owners and drivers are singing a different tune, but almost to the same effect.
Earlier this year, it was agreed upon that government will pay a one-off payment of $1,000 plus 3% for 2017 and 2018 and 4% increase for 2019 to public servants. However, President General of the Bank and General Workers Union says workers of the Boulogne propagating plant seem to have been sidelined from this deal. Justin Campbell says they were informed that government will only pay the one-off payment of $1,000 plus 3% for 2017. He says,
"Let's talk more action" can best describe the industrial action being taken by some public servants in the healthcare system. After months of lamenting over the non-payment of increments, pension issue, imposition of contracts for nurses, victimization at workplaces and unsanitary working conditions, some workers under the banner of the Public Workers Union took action in what was termed a silent protest. This morning's action was taken, resulting in what Acting Union President Rachel Roberts described as island-wide response from union members. Workers at the Mount Gay Psychiatric Hospital and the General Hospital were seen wearing red armbands and waving placards. Acting President Rachel Roberts, speaking during a press conference held earlier this month, said more protest action can be expected.
The management of TAMCC has made a bad situation worse. I received a call this morning, call and text from the hierarchy at the TMI Show Community College regarding the industrial action here. The hierarchy is claiming that the workers are too noisy and for it to be stopped. I explained to them respectfully that this matter is not a spontaneous combustion. It didn't happen overnight. For years, these workers have been owed by the college, and they are taking lawful industrial action. Shortly after that, those exchanges, I got to find out that the police were called, and one of my shop stewards at the T.A. Marisho Community College was actually called out by the police and questioned regarding.
Let's go. No upgrades. No upgrades. No dark salary.
The management of TAMCC has made a bad situation worse. I received a call this morning. Call and
restoration is the way for the working man. Pension. Easy tension. Pass the pension. Easy tension. Pay the pension. Easy tension. Pension restoration is the cry of the working man. Pension.
President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Jude Bartholomew, has responded to allegations by Education Minister Emmeline Pear that students at the T.A. Marisho Community College have been offered good grades by lecturers as bribes to join them in their ongoing protests. The minister was addressing the New National Party supporters on Thursday night when she made the statement.
When I received a call from someone outside of Grenada saying to me, Minister, what is going on at the college? That lecturers are offering students to increase their grades if they come on the picketing line. We cannot afford to affect the integrity of our only community college, and no lecturer should be allowed to get away with something like that.
You know, folks, while I'm playing that, in my mind, I saying Emmeline Pear lying long, you know. She is and was a pathological liar, long. And you're hearing the voice, the cry voice. You same personality, same old Emmeline Pear. The voice sends this kind of deceit, disingenuous tone. Same Emmeline Pear.
Offering students to increase their grades if they come on the picketing line. We cannot afford to affect the integrity of our only community college, and no lecturer should be allowed to get away with something like that.
President of the GUT, Jude Bartholomew, says these allegations added insult to injury.
And what we are saying here, to add insult to injury, after these workers, lecturers and everybody have been working hard at TAMCC, making tremendous sacrifice, we see that the Minister for Education just come out and make an irresponsible statement talking about grades. This is degrading to our lecturers and to workers at TAMCC. This is degrading and an insult to our students.
Bartholomew says the remarks made by the Education Minister not only hurt the lecturers, but can compromise the credibility of students' grades when they apply to universities out of Grenada.
Our constitution states that we're entitled to 25%. And after myself working for 33 years, I think 2% from the government is an insult by the time I get to the age of 60. By that time, I would have contributed 43 of my years to the public service. And I think it's very, very unfortunate that the government would be offering 2% to me and to the other public officers after they get to age 60.
I believe that we as teachers, we work very hard. Sometimes we go the extra mile to ensure that the children are being prepared for whatever assessment they have, whether it's internal or external examinations. And sometimes when I go to work and I see those commitments, it really touches my heart. And over my years of education, there has been a lot of teachers that has been positively impacting my life. And I believe that me coming out here today would be a sign of gratitude to them for all they have done for me over the years.
Yes, well, the public was satisfied that, I mean, everybody at the children going to school. I mean, the teachers have a hard task just like any working person. So they should get what they have to get.
Right. So that was, in a nutshell, the environment, the climate that existed under the NNP. The workers were always protesting, always on the picket line, always out there fighting for pension, fighting for their dock salaries, fighting for increases, fighting. They were always fighting for what was rightfully theirs under the NNP time. Lest we forget that, because some people could easily forget the struggles, the fight, what existed under the NNP, and be fooled by all the nice talk coming from Emlyn Pay and the NNP, because they want you to believe that they are new. They want you to believe that they're going to change things and do things for you. But they were in power. The NNP was in power. And that is what they did to you. So you always had to be on the street, always had to be marching. So I'm playing this to refresh your memory, because we have a way of forgetting things. We have a way of falling for all the lies and sweet talk after experiencing under the same oppressors. The NNP, they oppress you. They took advantage of you. They abuse you as workers. But the NDC came into power. And in the last 3 years and a half, the NDC just turned things around for workers. They just turned the thing around for workers. You remember the dock salary? That was the first olive branch they gave to the workers, the dock salaries.
By the end of July 2022, public officers whose salaries were also deducted together with teachers in November of 2018 should be smiling, as their salaries, as promised, will be reimbursed. On Thursday, June 30th, at the inaugural ceremony of his Cabinet of Ministers, Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell announced that teachers whose money was deducted in November of 2018 by the previous administration will be reimbursed by the end of July. Understanding that both teachers and other public officers who were part of the protest action in 2018 experienced deductions in their salaries, President of the Public Workers Union, Brian Grimes, says in order to seek clarification, an official letter by the union was sent to the newly elected Prime Minister, Dickon Mitchell, on July 4th to inquire if other public officers will be refunded their salaries. Grimes stated that the following day, a letter of response was received from the Permanent Secretary of Finance, Mike Sylvester.
Yes, the Grenada Public Workers Union is happy to announce to our membership that the dock salary in question, based on the statements made by the Honorable Dickon Mitchell at the swearing-in ceremony, June 30th, that teachers will be getting their dock salaries returned. In fact, it's all public officers. The union took its time to seek clarification from the government of Grenada, and we got a response via PS in the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Mike Sylvester, that it will be returned to all public officers and not just teachers. So I'm sure those of our members who march and are in a bit of consternation as to whether or not it would be returned to them, rest assured, based on words coming directly from the Ministry of Finance, that they will receive it at the end of July, as stated by the Prime Minister of Grenada.
By end of July 2022, public officers whose salaries were also deducted together with teachers in November.
It will be like Christmas in July for some teachers, as government makes good on its promise to repay salaries that were docked in 2018. During the new government's first post-cabinet press briefing on Tuesday, Minister for Education, Senator the Honorable David Andrew, told members of the media that $1,264,000 will be paid to teachers at the end of July. The previous administration had docked the salaries of teachers who were involved in protest action and remained away from school for nearly 2 weeks. Minister Andrew said the repayment can help to enhance the relationship between the ministry and the teachers, as well as the level of production in the classroom.
In keeping with the spirit of what the Prime Minister indicated, we believe it's not going to be productive to have an adversarial climate with our employees, with our workers. And we know that the docked salaries created a very adversarial atmosphere within our ministry and the education sector for a pretty long time, and no doubt that had cost us quite a bit. So we are happy to announce that this month end, the docked salaries to the tune of $1,264,075.78 will be paid to persons who were unduly docked their salaries.
Minister Andrew says his ministry has been working closely with the Ministry of Finance to meet the financial obligation. He explained that the refund will be administered 1 day after the processing of regular salary payments. Both payments will be disbursed by July 26th.
Normally, salaries are processed on the 21st of July each month. And so this month, July 22nd, would be an additional processing of the docked salaries. We have been reliably informed from our dedicated staff at Finance that this is happening. And so both payrolls would be sent to the respective financial institution.
Right. So the NDC administration, they paid the docked salaries. And remember, when they paid that, Keith Mitchell was also interviewed.
You know, if you don't work, then I don't know how I can agree to pay you. But that's the philosophy of the Prime Minister. It's different from me. So he will have to deal with that, the consequences of that. So I'm not going to impute any other motives on his part. As I said, the honeymoon is on. Give them the chance to settle down. But my position on that is well known, and I will not change it because I'm in opposition.
That was Opposition Leader Dr. Keith Mitchell, who remains unfazed by government's intent to repay teachers' docked salary, as he stands rigid with his then-government's decision made. Dr. Keith Mitchell was Prime Minister at the time when government docked the salaries of teachers who were involved in a protest action prompted by the GUT over a 2% gratuity payment offer. A letter from government was issued on the 13th of November 2018 to all permanent secretaries and head of department, informing them of the deduction. Union leaders had threatened dire consequences if the government had proceeded with its threat to dock workers' pay. The deduction comes a day after both public sector unions and the government negotiating team renewed talks on the issues of gratuity, which by all intentions was reported to be cordial. A joint release calling...
Right, so the NNP, they docked the salaries of teachers and public officers. The NDC came in and they paid the salaries of the teachers and public officers whose salaries were deducted or docked. NDC is a caring party. Also remember, so I played for you the environment that existed under the NNP, and I played for you that first piece with the docked salaries, the environment that the NDC brought with them. The NDC administration just paid the docked salaries. Then we had the pension. Remember, the pension was a big thing, huge thing.
Sometimes when you're happy, sometimes tears come to your eyes. Not for sorrow, but for joy. And when myself and my niece who take care of me, she brought me for it before she gone back to work. She asked for the time off. And she was more thrilled than me. She said, when I see that figure, she said, you're happy for life. And I want to thank the Prime Minister because he didn't have to do it. I work with him. But I want to thank you that today I am here and I feel happy in my spirit. Very happy. Thank you, thank you, thank all of you. God bless.
And so we must recognize that we have to act with integrity, we have to act with honesty when it comes to public affairs and when it comes to how we treat with issues that impact our citizens and the governance of the country. So we are happy to make good on this promise. We are happy that those who've been in the rain can finally have a raincoat or an umbrella over them. We are happy that they can now get a pension to spend. I want to encourage all of you, please use the money wisely, invest if you can, treat it as a pension, meaning monthly. Don't spend all immediately because you have to be able to live off the pension as long as you're alive. And as we all know, as you get older, health issues tend to crop up and you become more vulnerable. And so it is important that you bear that in mind. This also emphasizes our commitment to people first.
The Deacon Mitchell-led administration, who was successful at polls in the June 23rd general elections, have already begun to make significant strides in its transformation agenda. The payment of pension to public officers and pension reform were key issues that formed part of the campaign package promised to be delivered to public servants once elected into office. And mere months later, the promise of honoring the court judgment by paying retroactive pensions and gratuity to eligible public sector retirees for dedicated service was fulfilled. The total payout to some 525 retirees is estimated at $75 million, which according to the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, is perhaps the single largest transfer of wealth to date from the state to citizens. The decision, though, was realized following meetings with the relevant unions at the Cabinet Room and the decision by government to move swiftly to establish a pension secretariat. Former President of the Grenada Public Workers Union, Rachel Roberts, who was instrumental in the fight, says the event that led to this day was one that involved a movement of sweat and tears as workers took their grievances to the streets and the court with the support and dedication from the union leaders.
God answers prayer. God is a God who knows, and tears is a language that he understands. And many public officers cried. Many public officers cried over this, and I said many of them died over this. But today we want to thank the government of Grenada, because we know without a supportive government, without a caring government, this was not going to happen easily, and it has been paid. And our officers are happy, and I feel happy. The country would be better off for it, because the economic gains, the spill-off from it, the multiplier effect would be one that would support all Grenadians, the grandchildren, the great-grand, the children who would benefit from this.
Roberts says it's amazing how much public officers today can stand tall after giving dignified service and be rewarded.
All our retirees, please use the money wisely. Ensure that you do not squander, that you have financial management, financial thrift, and let our country benefit. Let your children benefit. Let your grandchildren benefit. Let your great-grandchildren benefit. And together, we are all better off for this. And we shall move forward with strength, with dignity, with pride, knowing that our country has finally done justice for our public officers. And I want to say to you, public officers, continue supporting what is right, continue supporting what is just, And social justice is very important for people.
Lyden Lewis, former President General of the Grenada Union of Teachers, is one of the forerunners leading the fight on behalf of workers.
I was one of the instrumental players, and it started with seeing a lot of senior teachers when I became President General and also the executive officer of the union, coming to the union daily, complaining how bad things were, having to seek medical attention and didn't know where the funds were coming from. In fact, there were times when I had to ask the government to advance teachers' monies to seek medical attention in Trinidad, and because they had terminal illnesses. I've seen retired public officers pulling trolleys and things, selling dollar juice and soccer bags and things. And to me, it really touched me. And so we discussed it at an executive level, and we thought that we need to make a push. Now, prior to that, not many persons were retiring that were affected by the Pension Disqualification Act. But as the years rolled by, the numbers increased, and therefore there was a need to pay attention to these persons. So we as a GUT executive, we took it to the TUC, and we spoke at that level. We had two opinions. One says that we did not qualify, and the other said that we did. And so we felt that there had to be more. So we approached government, the GUT mainly through my leadership, approached the then government, and we made a proposal that we started discussing through the Pension Engagement Committee.
This administration must be given tremendous applause and appreciation for the work they have done regarding the payment of the retroactive. Of course, we know about talks about pension reform, but we have ran the first leg, and we have ran it well, and hundreds of people, in fact thousands, the whole of Grenada is happy for this, because the retirees, they also have families and people are looking on, and I think it does a lot for social and economic justice in this country that the retroactive
was paid and the pension was paid. But remember what he did, he brought public officers down to the trade center, and he had all kind of things to tell them.
Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell says the payment of state pension to public workers must be properly managed to avoid completely derailing the economy and crippling the country's future developmental plans. Dr. Mitchell told the gathering on Tuesday during his national address that government, unions, and stakeholders must collaborate to set out a viable roadmap under which the obligations could be met. The recent High Court ruling reinstating public sector pension scheme rules creates a huge financial pension obligation that is additional to government's contribution to the National Insurance Scheme on behalf of state employees. The 2022 fiscal impact is estimated at between 2.2 and 7.9% of the GDP, largely depending on how current employees who already meet the reinstated scheme eligibility conditions react to the court ruling. According to Dr. Mitchell, the payment of pension to workers will require government to source an additional estimated $400 million.
While these fiscal obligations of the court ruling are still being tabulated, preliminary indication, and these are just preliminary numbers, are that we will have to find at least $465 million. Sister brothers, take that in. $465 million. That's not all. And then on average, we'd have to find $120 more million each year for at least the next 37 years. And that figure is without considering inflation. 37 years, Keith Mitchell will not be there.
Yeah, this guy, boy, watch. This guy fooled a lot of people, you know. This guy was nasty to public officers, you know. He had the kind of money this man put forward. But just a while ago, you heard about the pension payment and how much was actually paid. This guy was dirty politically, in my opinion, in my belief. Just $75.1 million was paid. That is all that was required to pay all the public officers who retired and was waiting on their pension for years. Just $75.1 million. Look how much money this man was quoting, and it's amazing. It's amazing. This guy was nasty. But don't play with God, you know.
You could build the best building. If you don't have the equipment, the medication, the trained staff, and the way you treat them. Sisters and brothers, I'm blacking out. Building. If you don't have the equipment, the medication, the trained staff, and the way you treat them, sisters and brothers, I'm blacking out. You could build the best building. If you don't have the equipment, the medication, the trained staff, and the way you treat them, sisters and brothers, I'm blacking out. You could build the best building. If you don't have the equipment, the medication, the trained staff, and the way you treat them, sisters and brothers, I'm blacking out.
So folks, yeah. Folks, also what is important is for you to know the unions during the NNP time, they were protesting, they were fighting for the increases. But the NDC came into power and it was just different, right? Totally different.
Because nothing can happen without God's blessings. I would like to thank also the joint negotiating team, which comprise TAU, GMMIWU, Bank and General Workers Union, or BGW, prisons, police. We are sitting here for ourselves, but the journey began with a collection of unions and staff associations. And it will finish with everyone signing, hopefully. Yes, and I would also like to extend special thanks to the GPW, my team. You see two members on my extreme right, Sister Daisy Hazard, our PRO, and Sister Nikisha Senbonard, the President of the Grenada Nurses Association. You may not be able to see them, but in the audience, Sister Paula Phillip, our treasurer, a very hardworking treasurer, and of course, the head of our secretariat, Brother Augustine Shadow David, right? Thank you, special thanks. We couldn't have done it without your hard work. Now, in saying thanks, I want to extend thanks in an area you may not anticipate. I want to extend special thanks to Mr. Bernard Antwine for his leadership of the GNT, and let me explain. Yes, we would have had vehement disagreements on a lot of things, but what was consistent, that ingredient of respect. The whole negotiation was clothed in respect despite disagreements. And I think that a lot of it is to do with his
temperament, his approach. So I think he should be commended, despite, you know, yes, he should be commended. I'll leave it at that. I would also like to extend thanks to our fringe benefit team, members you may not see here today, but it's a team that was commissioned in 2021 upon me becoming president, because we had foresight in terms of our fringe benefits that we were lacking in that area, and today we have reaped the success in that we will be signing on, apart from the wages, on a fringe benefits package. So wherever you are, thank you very much for the effort. And this was done pro bono. They did it voluntarily in the true spirit of public service. And last, but certainly not least, I'd like to thank the government of Grenada, because we would not be able to sign today if there was not basic agreement to the request that we made, and in terms of the overall agreement. So the government of Grenada should also be given commendations. Now I just want to get into the whole package. In my view, yes, we did not get all that we asked for, but I think this particular negotiating cycle, this particular period, has been groundbreaking, right? The first thing in terms of big ticket items, I want to speak on it because it's important to celebrate our victories, small and large. This is the first fringe benefit agreement we would have had in over 10 years. That is very, very significant. I think both the employer and the unions and workers should be happy about this. Very, very importantly, and I know I was speaking to a contract worker up here, this package has in it a clause stating contract workers will get the increases, even fixed term contract workers. This is monumental. This is groundbreaking. In the past, we have had very, very serious battles with the past administration in terms of members of our bargaining unit being left out in terms of their ability to secure increases. So having now enshrined in our agreement stating that contract workers will get it, it may have some administrative hiccups in terms of, you know, you have a little extra work to do, but I think it's worth it in terms of the justice and the equity across the
signing ceremony was held between the government of Grenada and the Grenada Union of Teachers on the collective agreements for salary and fringe benefits for the period 2023 to 2025. The ceremony was held at the Ministerial Complex, St. George, on Wednesday, with officials from the GUT and the government negotiating team in attendance. Permanent Secretary in the Department of Public Administration and Deputy Chair of the Government Negotiating Team is Lindona Hilaire Marshall.
In our view, we thought it went extremely cordial. While we would have had some frank and, discussions, we know how negotiations can be. And so we expected all of that. And we are grateful that we come to this conclusion at the end where we would be able to meet what it is that we're obligated to do. And we know fully well that both sides have the same interest. We are interested in the betterment of our workers, mindful of the fact that our workers are the valued asset to be able to realize the government's transformation agenda.
President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Jude Bartholomew, said he is pleased that the negotiations have borne fruit since it began during the last quarter of 2022.
It's a historic moment that we should appreciate and recognize. We may not have gotten, and you'll never be able to get all that you really want and you hope to. But at the same time, when you come together and such, we come to a common understanding, and we think that we're at a very good place. And at this time, when the government of Grenada would have, paid pension, deduct salary, 23% for TAMCC who haven't been paid for a long period of time, and recognizing all the different things that the government is doing for workers. We just want to show some praise and appreciation to the Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his administration.
Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell says he is pleased that negotiations thus far have been amicable, given the heated industrial climate last year.
Too often, I think our industrial climate is characterized by strife. And we have to get to the point where we can have healthy differences, we can debate, we can disagree, but we have to find a way where we recognize that the teachers are the members of the GUT, but the teachers are ultimately our staff. They're the staff of the state, and so we have an obligation to look out for them and to try and be as fair as we can for them. I certainly always wish we can give more. And if the GDP grows, if the resources grows, then certainly the teachers and all workers have my own commitment, and I think the commitment of the government. It's important for me to double down and re-emphasize that if we don't accept that there's dignity in all work, then we will continue creating the apartheid system within the public service and within Grenada when it comes to the working people of Grenada. So it's important that we recognize, appreciate and applaud all work, and that we encourage all persons who work, because the importance is productivity, and that we seek as much as we can to assimilate and to give them the benefits, whether it's salary increases, as we have agreed on here, or fringe benefits, or crucially, the ability to take care of themselves after they have left the active working force and have retired. We've demonstrated over the last 3.5 years our commitment to the people of Grenada, because it's the working people of Grenada who build Grenada, whether they are in the private sector or whether they are in the public sector. And we need to make sure that we always fair, that we are as transparent as possible, and that we, to Mr. Mitchell's point, that we recognize that we're all on the same team. We have different roles to play. We are not enemies of each other. We are not opposing each other. It is important for us to, as much as we can, work in a collaborative and collective manner, because we are living and will continue to live in very uncertain, very turbulent, very unpredictable times. And as a small country that is open virtually to everything from the flu, the virus, the trade challenges, the geopolitical and security threats, it is important for us to create certainty within our industrial climate, within the working and industrial climate in Grenada. And I want to thank the two unions.
Right, so folks, I brought you I brought you back when there was industrial action, demonstration, protests every Monday morning under the NNP, lest you forget that, where you came from as workers. Then I brought you to the point where the NDC came into power and how things changed, how you started getting what you rightly deserve, and you became happy and more productive, and opportunities start flowing and so on, lest you forget that. And we still enjoy it, and we continue to see that up to this point. But in my area here, Grenlec they will be taking electricity shortly. I got word of that a moment ago. So I want to thank you for being a part of the program. You know, you have to cut off everything to make sure that you're safe and secure. So I want to thank you very much. I want to wish you all the best. Yeah, they're doing some upgrades. They're changing lines and changing this and changing that. So I will cut the program here. In fact, we're over 9 o'clock. It's a 1 hour program, remember, from 8 to 9, but we are over that. So I want to thank you for being a part of the program. I want to wish you all the best. Take good care. And bye for now.